You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Walk-Ons in Brewley and here on Highway 1. Welcome to the Monday edition of Live Lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott. George Kitchen's back in the studio after a huge weekend in multiple sports. We've got a beautiful day here at Walk-Ons. Max Gotro with us as well. The sun is out. Temperatures are cool to chilly. We got the doors down here, but if you want to come out and have lunch with us here at Walk-Ons, always a good time. Great place to come watch a
Love
game.
the setup, man. You got 5 TVs out on the patio, which is great this time of the year. You can kind of sit. They got shaded areas. You can sit in the sun, so you got little options there. And then when it gets a little bit warmer, we get into March, man, we can roll up all these garage doors and really soak it up. Just the weather's day to day, huh? My goodness.
Yes.
80 and muggy to,
up and down
crisp
a little
and
bit.
52, 55.
Moving around a little bit. So if you want to come on and have lunch with us here at Walk-On, certainly invite you. Great selection of seasonal brews in addition to all of the old favorites. You had a little bit of everything if you wanted it this weekend. The opening of college baseball season, college basketball into the beginning of the stretch run. You had a 1 versus 2 this weekend. You had some good games in the league. A monster gymnastics matchup in the PMAC on Friday night that was a pretty exciting finish. And we're not going to lie to you and tell you that we watch every routine of.
Probably watch more gymnastics meet than I ever have before.
I watched coming down the stretch last year. I watched a lot. But I'm not going to tell you that I watch every meet or anything like that. But this one I wanted to see, and it was compelling. You had LSU and Oklahoma basically, tied at halfway through. And Oklahoma take a lead in the third rotation, and LSU catch them on the last. So a packed house at the PMAC, that was exciting. LSU's women's basketball team with a big top 5 matchup in Austin. They saw the lead get away. The baseball team got 3 in a row. The men's basketball team with a miraculous comeback.
Man, you're a blown lead away from in the women's from having a pretty nice parlay, huh?
Yeah, and a number 1 seed for the ladies too. Had they won yesterday,
could have got as high as -5.5 in game.
And
they were 10.5-point dogs before the game.
That was when I saw that, I just figured Flaugier wasn't playing because that line shouldn't have been that high. If she was a game time decision and she played the whole time.
Well, they won by 7, and the Texas coach said that was probably the worst shooting game of the year. So in
the first half, it certainly was. They got hot.
Now they shoot good from the line,
huh?
21-21 from the line.
Yeah, they shot very well from there. I watched the game from start to finish. I thought. Not exactly like the South Carolina game, but it had some similarities in that LSU's got 3 players that can play with anybody, but they do not have the type of depth that some of the other teams have. And, you saw that at South Carolina. They were in the game. They were competitive, and the fourth quarter kind of belonged to South Carolina. And that's what happened here, too. They had a 12-point lead with 4.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. And from there, Texas kind of took control of the game. So it's not like she hasn't addressed it in recruiting. There's a big class coming in, but this team is very much they're a mile wide and an inch deep. That's what I've seen in the 8 or 10 games that I've watched. They're good enough to beat just about anybody. And I think they're good enough to beat anybody.
They could have won yesterday.
They could have won yesterday,
man, at Texas.
But against the teams that are deeper, they've come up a little bit short. And it's only against the best of the best on the road too. I don't know if Texas wins that game if it's at a neutral site. I mean,
Probably not.
They fed off the crowd. With an 11-point lead. I think LSU holds on in the PMAC and at a neutral site.
The way Texas shot yesterday, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And South Carolina got blown out yesterday. their streak at home came to an end after 71.
What were they favored by yesterday?
6.5.
Lose by 30.
Yeah.
Hello.
And it wasn't – Paige Beckers had a good game for UConn, but it was Arzi, the player that came in, hit 6 threes for them that just killed South Carolina. They've seen their – Dawn Staley made a, remark after the game. She said, hey, listen, our streaks have come to an end. They had a conference winning streak that they came to an end against Texas. Their home winning streak, their overall winning streak came to an end back in December. They're not as – they're still good.
I'll give you credit, Charlie. They're not as good. You seem like you're going to be accurate on this one, that they're not invincible.
Yeah.
When LSU was competitive when they went up there. They're just not don't have that, the last 2 years they've had number 1 and number 2 draft picks. Just have now they're still deep. They're deep, but they got smoked. Smoked at home, man. Damn.
You don't expect to see them to lose a game like that. And the LSU men, listen, we all know what this season is, has come down to. They're not anywhere near
crippled
where they
killer for
would
Oklahoma.
like to be. Yeah,
killer. Got to knock them out the ball off the bubble, huh?
Yes, for the moment, and they're up 5 with 24 seconds to go. And from that point on, I was surprised.
3 steal and 1 bam ball game.
You don't foul a 3-point shooter. They should know better than that. And Carter makes the 3, makes the free throw. They get us, and then he can't inbound the ball against the pressure. Were you surprised? I thought Porter Moser was a pretty good coach.
He is.
He's had a really tough time at Oklahoma. Their conference record, I didn't realize was as bad as it is. Now, 2 years of that is Big 12, but his conference record, he's winning like 35% of his conference games. And I know the Big 12 was uber competitive the last 2 years since he's been there, but he hasn't been very good this year. And they made some bad mistakes in the last 24 seconds to blow that lead. Fouling a 3-point shooter, can't get it in against the pressure. You foul, LSU gets the end one. Give Carter credit. He's LSU's best player, and he stepped up when they needed him. But Oklahoma made some bad mistakes there at the end. But good for good for Cam Carter and good for LSU. They won. I didn't think they'd win any games on the road. They won that one. They got a chance to win tomorrow night, and is what it is. They're not going to any tournaments or anything like that. But hey, they're continuing to play hard. They won. Good for them. That's about where I'm at for. And I was happy for Cam Carter. He's a good kid. He's played hard the whole year.
We talked about it off the air.
Yeah.
He could start for just about everybody. I think he can start for everybody in the league. But it's just if he's your number 1, it's your roster's probably not that great, and that's kind of where they are. They've had some competitive games. Certainly they blew the Ole Miss game, but that's kind of one where they were hanging around and put themselves in position to steal it. But yes, that's poor basketball IQ to when you're up 5 to foul a jump shooter.
Yeah,
you don't foul a jump shooter anyway. Especially and situationally, it makes it that much dumber.
Would you say that this may have evened out? LSU should have won the Ole Miss game. If they play the Ole Miss game out 10 times, LSU probably wins at 8 or 9. And if they play this game out normally, LSU probably should have. LSU probably should have won the Ole Miss game and lost this game.
Well, sure they should.
If they play, so
but you blew a lot bigger lead than 5.
You did, but it was more time. 5 and 24. What's worse, 5 and 24 seconds or 11 and 3 minutes? It's what? I get it. What do you think of the 1 versus 2 matchup in Tuscaloosa? Auburn.
You got to be very impressed with Auburn. You have to be. Their defense, contributed to Alabama's shooting woes, and dug themselves a hole. And Bama came back. That place has never been that excited about a basketball game ever. That's no hyperbole. That's just the way it is. They don't have people camping out for an Alabama basketball game. Doesn't happen. So then you got Auburn. We know about the rivalry. We know it carries a lot more intensity in football, of course. But now you're 1 and 2. Yeah. And when kind of like LSU baseball capitalized on a little bit of underperforming by some of the, especially the football program, some other programs. The LSU fan base was dying for a winner. Auburn football's down. They're done. Baseball hadn't done crap either. They're dying for a winner. And man, they But the Alabama thing, it's two heavyweight coaches, man. I mean, and I just I come with win. I was very impressive by Auburn. Period. That's a tough place to win against a tough team, and kind of won comfortably.
They did, and what the most impressive part of the game to me for Auburn was when Alabama came back and tied the score. They tied the score with about 8 minutes to go, and at that point you're saying, okay, here comes Bama. All right, they've suffered through a horrendous shooting day, and you're right, Auburn had a lot to do with that, but they've weathered the storm. They've caught them with 8 minutes to go. Alabama's going to win this game. That's what I thought. At the 8-minute mark, I thought Alabama was going to win the game. And they tied it. And Auburn answered with
they're blowing the top off that dunk.
Yes.
I mean, come on, man.
And Auburn answers that with a 10-3 run, and that ain't easy to do when the crowd is on top of you and all the momentum's on the other side.
They're older.
Yep.
They're mature.
Yep.
They've got. They're not going to. They're certainly battle tested. One thing about the league, the teams, whether it be more battle tested or fatigue. That's $1 million question when we get to March Madness. But no, this is a mentally tough team. Not just if it. I thought Broom was really good, man. I thought he was.
Yes.
And I know. I mean, he's not a pro. I don't think so. I mean, he might be. Look, I was wrong on Zach Edey. He's getting some time, but his game doesn't really translate. He should improve his shot, and I'll help him. So he might be like a Jay Crowder or something.
I was just going to say Jay Crowder.
Really?
Yes, I was about to say Jay Crowder. He's a little bit taller, but yes, that's exactly
Jay
what I was
Crowder,
going to say.
Rudy Macklin. I mean, the guys are going to, when they get to pros and, they don't go to class anymore, you can just, work on your shot, and it usually improves. There's a list a mile long of guys that were suspect shooters in college who, became adequate shooters in the league. But they're just these are two really good teams. It was a cool atmosphere for a game, and man, it's just big shining star for Auburn. And now they've got cushion as that 1 seed. I don't think the number 1 overall seed is that big of a deal. Because you want to try and stay geographically close to, so, but hey, they got some. We already saw that they were able to maintain their ranking with the AP after a loss because they had a cushion. Oh, they got that cushion again, man. The Duke's just not playing these games, in the ACC. They're not playing these games.
All right, how many more Q1 wins do you think Auburn has than Duke?
Oh, right now, maybe 4.
9. It's
9?
almost triple.
Well,
Duke's got 5. Auburn's got 14. Now, nobody else is close to that. The next highest total is 8.
How many does Alabama have more than
8. No, they have 8. Auburn has 14.
Okay.
Auburn has, and Alabama second. Kentucky, Tennessee, and Alabama all have 8.
The game at Duke was with the Maui flu.
Right.
I mean, that's the first game back after they won the Maui Classic.
And they lost the game by like 4, I think. It wasn't like they went in there and laid an egg. No, they're the number 1 team, and it's by a decent margin.
Florida had a good week, man. They got their big guy back. Now, Condon didn't play. You remember he twisted that ankle first minute at Vanderbilt, but they got the other guy back.
Yeah, they got a bunch of big white guys, right?
Remember Musa Cisse? Remember the nasty recruiting battle between Will Wade and Penny Hardaway? He's back at Memphis.
How many schools is that?
I think
3.
that's 4. Memphis, Oklahoma State.
If I'm counting Memphis twice.
Ole Miss, and then Memphis. Yeah, so 4 different stops. He's still there. He's not even starting.
Right.
It was a nasty, nasty deal.
Oh, you would have thought they were recruiting Will Chamberlain. I mean,
yes.
He couldn't miss.
I said, look at Musa C. He's back at Memphis. So I had to check. Yeah, he last year was at Ole Miss. Yeah. Before that, he was at Oklahoma State. And so how much money has he made in his college career pre and post NIL?
Yeah, and imagine if he was good, if he was as good as he was supposed to be.
Yeah, it's just, the game is certainly, and it's just a perimeter game. And, yeah, he's not even starting.
He's played for more teams than
and they got beat.
More teams than John Kittner.
They got beaten. That's a case, too. Wichita State played so hard in that game yesterday against Memphis. Now, Memphis is their biggest problem is they play to the level of their opponent. This is the best skilled team that Penny has. Tyrese Hunter coming over. Yeah. I mean, this is the best shooting skilled team they have, but they're just a little They keep opponents hanging around.
We both had Wichita State. We were a touch nervous when it went to overtime. We didn't want that. We were on the right side the whole way. Overtime.
I in game on Memphis minus 2.5. So I wish you would have hit that 3 at the end of regulation. But
I didn't do that. But.
Yeah, we're over here at Walk-Ons. This is Max. This is your place, huh? Once you weigh in, you know
Go Trail stomping grounds.
Just staring at the bar right now. Plenty of good memories here. Yeah, I'm always here at Walk-Ons in Bruley, so it's always a good time. They got. I do not participate in cornhole.
You
but,
don't?
It's very popular around these
It
parts.
is?
It very much is, yes.
So,
Cornhole every other Monday, I believe.
Do they play for rounds, for money? What we got? You got a little action on
You
it?
can do a little side bet.
Okay,
sure,
all right.
But, yeah, you win some stuff here.
So man, but this is a place as we come down to the end of college basketball season, all the bubble games. You got LSU baseball underway as well. How about the softball team's off to a good start too, huh?
4 wins against ranked teams this weekend.
How about that?
Yep.
How about that? So you can catch all the action over here. It's built for the sports viewing experience, and this is the time of the year, man. We're about to hit a really good stretch. It's nice today. Maybe a little cool on the patio. I can handle it, but man, it's set up. 5 TVs on the patio. You can sit in the sun. You can sit in the shade. We'll roll up the garage doors. I love it, man.
And they'll be sure to put the LSU baseball games on ESPN Plus here too. So
that's
all of those. All of those will be on. Yeah.
Live at the Walk-Ons in Bruley. Live at lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
With Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Back here, Walk-Ons in Bruley. You can always get the show on demand, LouisianaSports.net and 104.5ESPN.com. New Handycast coming on LSU baseball. We'll drop that this afternoon as a Tiger sweep in opening weekend play. The other part of men's basketball was the amount of ranked teams that lost, at home. Over the weekend. We're not going to ding Alabama. Auburn is the best team in the country. But Arizona, a home against Houston.
I mean, no, that still puts their 1 seed in jeopardy. Can't lose at home, Charlie, even Auburn. No, you're a slight favorite there. I mean, Florida might. I think Florida will be ranked ahead of Alabama today.
Okay, we should get that near the end of the show.
Yeah.
Arizona
A&M
loses home. Purdue loses at home. Another ranked team.
How about Wisconsin scoring 86?
I know that was
that ain't our uncle's Wisconsin, is it?
No, 94. Actually,
I'm sorry, 94.
94. Yeah, they ended up winning that game by 10 on the road. Ole Miss. Loses to Mississippi State. They had won 4 out of 5. Both of those teams have been infuriating to try to gauge.
They're impossible. Yes.
They're still both top 30.
Trust me.
They're still top 30 net teams, both of them, which that goes. Mississippi State is 6-6 in the league. That's really good. That's good enough for a top 30 net in the country.
No, we said this once back in December, and it's everybody's weighing in and all the conference. Your conference, your strength of conference is done, because especially this year, because you don't have your conference versus conference like the SEC Big 12 challenge that would happen usually in February.
Right?
Okay, that was done in December, and you won 14-2, and you had all. So the strength of the conference was there. So this was very predictable. It's funny how the haze and the born as far as the strength of the conference is just how much of the conference is going to get in. They're going to have a lot. The Big Ten's got a ton too now.
They do. Max, who was it that they jumped him from making? It was Carl Ravitch that they
the 92 and 92.
Yeah, he's like, hey, the SEC, why? They got a 500 record since January 1st, which was a joke, and they just absolutely crushed
I don't know
him.
that it was a joke.
It was.
What's
How
that?
could it not
The way
be a
he
joke?
said
Carl
it.
Ravitch said, he goes, well, the SEC, they talk about how strong it is. They got a 500 record since January 1st. They're playing nothing but league games. It was a joke. I thought it was a joke.
He said it was.
How
He
could
did
it not be a
say
joke?
it in a manner
Every
that was a joke.
conference has a 500
Where did he say
record in
this?
conference.
Late in the game, I think it was a Texas home game. I forget who they were playing. This was last weekend. He just said, everyone talks about how dominant the SEC is, but it's hard. I mean, in conference play, they're 500.
If he said it like that,
he set it up like he did not.
No, Charlie, I'm with Max.
Okay,
I didn't hear. But if you're accurate in how you do it, I mean,
the blowback got big enough to where Mark Pope even commented on it. He got a question about it, and he joked, "Yeah, we got to step up as a league. We got to be better than this."
And I thought that was a joke too.
That was a joke.
Okay,
Clearly, Mark Pope was joking about it.
I mean, every conference by definition has to be 500. I thought it was a joke. But
now, Lenardi has not updated his bracketology since Friday, but Jerry Palm has, and he still has Alabama as his 1. Florida's a 1 as well. So the 3 SEC schools and Duke. A&M's, here's the 2s. A&M, Tennessee, Wisconsin, and Houston. I would say Houston and A&M are threatening Alabama.
Absolutely, and Houston got a big win at Arizona.
Yes, losing the comebacks. I mean, good thing for live wagering, because I'm trying to middle, and it zoomed right past the middle. They were blown leads after blown leads. I mean, even Ole Miss had an 8-point lead early. Arizona's winning the whole game. Boom, about 5 minutes to go. Here comes Houston.
Illinois, Michigan State.
Illinois was up. Who else was up? Like 14 or 16. I mean,
how many was Kentucky up at Texas?
Kentucky was winning the whole game.
Yeah,
winning the whole game. Yes. That's one. But Michigan State, Illinois jumped up 16. They're up 16. They lose by like 16.
They closed actually like the last 4 minutes of the game with negative 2 points. They took 2 points away. They never scored after.
Oh, how about another team that was trailing by big margin and came back to win, though, was Tennessee.
Tennessee played
against Vandy. They were down 13.
They're going down the whole game.
13 and a half at home.
Yes.
And they end up losing. Now, Kansas wasn't ahead, but they ended up losing another game. They're 8-6 in the Big 12.
South Carolina was trading punches with Florida for a while. St. John's was down double digits yesterday. Creighton, they win by 6. You had some comebacks.
It's worth paying attention to. It's a lot of fun when we get to this part of the season.
Totally blows the game to Seton Hall. Totally blew it twice in regulation and in overtime. I mean, turning the ball, can't get an inbounds pass in. Seton Hall's terrible this year.
Yeah, no.
Terrible. Now, UConn's coming off that big win. They come from behind, win in Omaha. But, I mean, they're up like 5 with 15 seconds. It was very much the LSU-Oklahoma game was very much like the UConn Seton Hall game. Very much.
Another team, we've been impressed by these guys. This win probably won't get a whole lot of push, but Missouri winning by 13 in Georgia.
That's a huge win.
Georgia, look, the overall league record is not good. Okay, they've only won 4 games. But you look at the games that they've played at home. Auburn only went in there and won by 2. Missouri goes in there and wins by 13. They had a game. They beat Kentucky there. They beat when Oklahoma's not very good. They were ranked when they went in there. That's not very good. They've been a pain in the butt. Mississippi State won by a point at South Carolina at Georgia. They've been a pain in the butt at home, really bad on the road. We talked about that last week. Missouri went in there trailing at the half and handled them. That was one I missed. I took Georgia into points at home.
He is Jerry Palm's first team out. Georgia. First team out. Yeah, you got to win those home games. And White is in his 3rd year. And they've got to do better, man. They've got to do better. Indiana is the second team out. They lost on Friday night, a close game against UCLA. Then Xavier and North Carolina, two from the SEC in his last 4, and Texas and Arkansas. So
I can't say enough of it. Missouri continues. This is a team that won 0 games last year.
Freddie Hoiberg with a big win. They were down 15 to maybe like 18. To Northwestern in the first half. They win by 4 yesterday on the road in Evanston, Chicago. So I mean, you had some really good. Nebraska now a 9 seed. Michigan, man, those 2 7-footers, they just lean on you. They get so many. They make the board so hard. I think Wolf is a lot of control a lot of times. He tries to do too much, but they wear on you. Golden's having a great year. Great year. He's in his first year. How many players did he inherit?
I have no idea, but
close to 0.
Yeah, you're right.
He's good.
we're going to give Bruce Pearl Coach of the Year in the Southeastern Conference for what he's doing, right?
How about for National Coach of the Year?
Okay, yeah.
You
come through this league. Well, I would like to give at least an honorable mention to Dennis Gates at Mizzou for taking an 0-19 team, and right now their net is 16. Okay? I'm kind of setting this up because we're going to talk about this in the off season no matter what happens. It's like, well, he's starting from scratch. Well, that doesn't matter anymore. That doesn't matter. The 3-year rebuilds, the 2-year – no. You can turn it around in a year, and it's not just Missouri. It's other teams. Vanderbilt is another one who I think returned 3 guys next year, this year. No, you can now turn things around in a year. A big time. I'm not expecting you to go from winless in the conference to top 16 in the country, but you know what I'm saying. You can move the needle a lot in a year, a lot more than you could 3 years ago.
Patino gets some consideration.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That's another one. Now, how many games did they win last year?
What's another one? Michigan State had to come back. Who'd they play? I'm sorry, Illinois. We already talked about that. Yeah. But, I mean, down 16.
Sets the Big Ten record for victories. Took over from.
That was cool to see some of his old players come back and kind of be there for it. There were a lot of them were at the one he lost.
Was Cleves there?
He was at the last one.
Yeah.
I don't know how many made it to Champaign. It was goofy. They hung the player's jersey.
Oh, Shannon. Yeah.
I mean,
that's no class tomorrow.
And then
you had one job: unfurl the banner right side up. Promotion staff been drinking.
Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title for all of you real estate closings. 296-0060. Full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional service is what you get when you dial 296-0060. Our great team at Legacy Title: Ashley Donald, Mariana Haynes, Adrian Galata, and Michael Platt. Buying, building, or financing, nobody chooses but you. Choose Chad Reynolds at Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Live at the Walk-Ons in Bruley, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jimmy, Charlie, and Troy. 3 best buddies sitting around talking sports bets. Let's welcome in Troy Macker from Bet Rivers.
All right, Troy Macker joins us right now after an extended vacation wedding. Troy, you glad to be back in your routine?
Yeah, a little bit. The wedding was a destination wedding in the Caribbean, so it's tough to ever return from that. But, now we're in the stretch run of college basketball, which is my favorite time of year. So in that regard, I'm happy to be back, even though the weather is not holding up its end of the bargain.
Hey, well, before we get to some of the current things, one look back at the Super Bowl at Bet Rivers, and a lot of the shops are say it was profitable. I guess minus what the Pennsylvania, the shops in Pennsylvania. I guess that was the same thing. You guys have a heavy presence in Pennsylvania as well. Besides Pennsylvania, it was some record numbers, huh?
Yeah. All told, this is the most wagered on event in the 5 or 6 year history of online sports wagering for Bet Rivers. The most tickets, which is to be expected, but it was a significant uptick from last year's Super Bowl. If you looked at, what was it, the 22 Super Bowl to 23, it was, an increase. But between 23 and 24, we saw a big uptick. Could that be because, it was a rematch? There was a Philadelphia team. It was obviously Kansas City, who everyone knows about. Or it could be, just the growth of the industry. In terms of winning and losing, we did, the sportsbook did, come out on top, I believe, an 8% hold of the handle. That was on the game. Though when you look at the futures market, we took a significant loss because that is where, our presence in the state of Pennsylvania really hit us hard with people betting on Philadelphia to win it all throughout the season. And, we would have taken a loss regardless because Kansas City had the most money and most tickets of any futures team. But, I don't believe Kansas City's odds ever got longer than 6-1 this year, where there were portions you could get the Eagles at 14-1, 15-1, I think even some 16-1. So when you take in, the relatively long odds, plus, we have a lot of people in Pennsylvania. And what do we know about people in Pennsylvania? They are passionate about their home teams, whether it's Pittsburgh or Philadelphia. But really, Philadelphia Eagles fandom goes from the east coast of Pennsylvania almost all the way to Pittsburgh. You can be an hour east of Pittsburgh, and it is a very big state, and you still find Eagles fans. So it's not split down the middle. So we did take a massive loss in the futures market, but in major events like this, where there's just so much action across the board, it usually evens out, especially with the amount of parlays and player props that come into play. And because the Chiefs did not do much of anything on the offensive end, a lot of those player props fell through.
All right, the current stuff, and that is with the two All-Star weekends. I guess, the hockey is smoking the basketball with their hot. You seeing that at the sports book as well?
Yeah, in a big way. We did take some big bets on. I guess I paid very little attention to the NBA All-Star weekend, which is a drastic change. I usually am very locked into it. We did take some large bets on the 3-on-3 tournament. I noticed some big bets on Team Candace or Team Shaq. But the USA hockey matches have been massive. Two of the three biggest hockey games in terms of total money wagered of the entire NHL season. If you look back from January 1st, 2024, so over a full calendar year ago, the USA-Canada game on Saturday night rates as one of the 15th most wagered on games, and that's including all of last year's Stanley Cup playoffs. So that's how much money we took. Now, does it help that there was no football? That certainly did help. Did it help that there's no slate of pro basketball? That certainly did help. But USA events, whether it's soccer or hockey, are typically very wagered on events, and they're playing Canada. They're fierce rivals. This is a marquee game, and it lived up to it. And so, if they happen to play again in the final of this invitational, I think we'll see a massive handle. Could be, more money wagered than any of the games in the Stanley Cup final, perhaps, which would be super interesting development. Given that,
I was just going to ask you. I was just going to ask you if there were how much more than the previous All-Star games. Now you're telling me more than the Stanley Cup Finals?
I mean, it could be. I think, if Canada does make it to the final, I think they have to beat Sweden or Finland. It will be USA-Canada again. Probably won't see as many fights, but I think there will be a ton of money wagered, and we'll get up to one of the games in the Stanley Cup final compared to last year's All-Star game, like 7 times the handle.
Yeah.
And in our weekend where everyone has been discussing what do we do about All-Star games? Obviously, the Pro Bowl is just a fun skills competition. The NBA fumbled the bag this weekend, and the NHL is smiling ear to ear because everyone. I was at a sports bar on Saturday night, thinking they may not have this game on. Sure, I'll watch college basketball, but I'm not sure they're going to have this game on. The entire place was glued to this hockey game. So the NHL has to be very happy at what has transpired.
I came home from the sports book, and on my way, hit my usual spot at Los Reyes and got the 3 basketball games on. Some of the servers like, Mr. Jimmy, you come out if we put on the hockey? I said, no, put it on. Let's put it on. So I mean, it's got some juice. It's got some juice, and it's sitting on the doorstep for the NBA. Now, listen, it won't be hockey intensity. Okay, those guys are they're going to be more intense. But just how much, what do you say, Max? Let's say 1 to 10, an NHL All-Star hockey intensity. The old one is a 2. This is like a 9. Okay, so if the NBA currently is or 10, if it goes from a 2 or a 1 to maybe an 8, it won't be the Olympics intensity. Okay, that's more traditional, but it gives everybody this is what you root for. You're rooting for your country, and they will increase the intensity. And figure out the monetary stuff. I mean, it is not going to get room service. Hello, I mean, just pay attention and make the move. And I'm glad to see some of the players, the foreign players like Giannis and Wembanyama, are like, absolutely, we want to go this route.
Well, there are 2 things that are interesting here. Is that for the Olympics, and maybe it's changing, but back to the normal. But for the last 2 Olympic cycles, no pros have been allowed from the NHL have been allowed to play in the Olympics. So this is the first time we're really getting the best of the world from the U.S. and the best of the world from Canada playing against each other. And the one issue that the NBA have is they couldn't really do a USA versus a single country. They would have to do versus the world, or you could do versus Africa, versus Europe, versus whatever. And there isn't as much animosity or just American pride when you're playing a continent or the world as you're playing your neighbors, and there is some certain current geopolitical strain between the two countries, which I think led to the explosion of fights on Saturday night.
Yeah, and all that's fair, but damn it, this thing sucks right now. I mean, you can't get any worse than what they throw it out. And it sucked for years, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just and listen, Charlie, we're breaking it down. This thing would be close to a pick 'em. I mean, the two rosters, the U.S. and the world, I mean, it would be really, really good. If anything, starting five would have a slight edge when you pull an SGA from Canada. You know, with Wembanyama and Greek and Luka and the whole bit. I mean, they'd be loaded. And the U.S. would be just fine, too, with their team.
They would be. The one pushback that you're getting is an easy fix is that all-star appearances and stuff are counted into contracts.
Don't change naming your all-stars. If you got too many Americans, they're alternates.
70% of the league is American, 30% of the league is non-American. So the pushback is that you're taking 12 players from 30% of the league. But like you said, that's an easy
How
fix.
many we'd have to do of the top 24 players deserving? I think it wouldn't be a big difference. It may be 14 to 10.
I can think of 8 or 9 right off the top of my head.
Yeah,
and guys, you don't think like Karl Anthony Towns. I didn't realize this. Played for the Dominican Republic. Yeah. Okay, so there's guys that Jamal Murray, he's from Canada. You might not get it with all of them.
And Embiid could play for either one, and so he'll just sit out.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's what he usually
and eat.
Yeah.
Troy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard some stuff that suggested that the hockey players, especially the Canadians, are actually playing harder. You talked about the intensity level, that this might be a 10. They're playing harder for their clubs,
than a typical NHL team,
than traditionally in the NHL.
Yeah, this is breakup of the sport, man. You know, yes, and they've always had a little nastiness between them. Who's better, the Canadians or the Americans? So when they've played, I remember, man. This may have been 20 years ago, but Gretzky was doing the broadcast, and I mean they show him white knuckling during the gold medal game with the U.S. and Canada. So a lot of pride.
That game you mentioned, it was a 2010 gold medal game in Vancouver, Canada. Two of the best rosters ever assembled in the U.S. and Canada. It is the best hockey game I've ever seen. Sidney Crosby scored an overtime goal. Zach Parise was amazing for the U.S. It's one of the best sporting events I ever watched, and one of the reasons I was excited to watch it on Saturday night because, you get the best versus the best, which is why when you saw the fight, you were like, they didn't send out the goon line. They didn't decide to have a line for all to start, and they sent out the third liners. You're going, why are the third liners starting? These are literally the best players in the world fighting because they're representing their country. This is the type of fighting I like in hockey, not doing defending star players, but guys defending their country. I wonder if this is now in year 10, does it still have the same panache? I don't think so. But for year one, resounding success.
It's just why would you change anything?
Don't make me send the Hanson brothers out there,
I mean, but hey, if you got juice in Baton Rouge, Louisiana for hockey, I mean, the cooler states are going to have that much more. So it's got our attention. There's no doubt about that. How about that? Troy we're on the same page, Troy. I'm like, what's the old Pelican is playing for the Lakers now? I'm like Jackson Hayes. I'm like Luka, just throwing him up. And Troy's throwing him down, baby. A little alley-oop. Huh? Nice, Troy. Good memory. Troy, you like anything in the college hoops tonight?
No, not tonight. It's a pretty weak slate. If anything, I would lean on maybe, I believe, Duke minus 13.5 Virginia. Virginia's a little bit better than they have been early in the season. They've kind of figured out. They've clicked on all cylinders. Under their interim head coach. Duke is very good. I would probably tease that line of Duke minus 13.5 down to maybe Duke 10.5. I know it's 3 points, but you could also tack on. There's at least one other game that is the outright winner that you don't even have to watch. So you can put a two-leg parlay, get some of that value back. The next 2 days will be incredible, as is the case last week and the next 2 weeks going forward. When you just think about how many teams in the Big Ten and the SEC are in the top 25. We have ranked matchups left and right. It is funny to see that, you have so many SEC teams in the top 25 with 500 records in conference, but that conference is just that good. The worst team in the conference, South Carolina, has not won a game, and they probably could have 5 or 6 wins. They have, I think 6 of their conference losses are by 2 scores or worse. Just incredibly competitive. So anytime an SEC team is playing, there's good money on a road team to keep it close. Vanderbilt's done well on the road. A lot of other teams have done well on the road. Missouri has been a really interesting play. So I've just been locked in on the SEC for college basketball, which is a little bit rare considering we're usually focused on college football in that conference.
Follow the money. So they're probably spending some of their money they've got deeper pockets. And I'm really worried about the Big East, Troy, because they don't have that football revenue. And there's some of my contacts have told me some of those Big East coaches are looking to get to some of those bigger budget programs. So we'll see about
totally
that.
Agree.
Thank you, Troy. Good stuff as always. We'll talk to you Friday.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you.
Don't forget our friends at Total Maintenance. This is right now not using the AC units too much right now. Well, I guess give it a day or two. But the one-time AC check, it's normally $179. It's just $79. So we're going to clean it. So it's going to run more efficiently when we stress these units. Also, we're going to check and make sure all the parts are secure and, that not one's about to fail when we stress it a little bit harder. And that's going to be a more costly repair as well. And it's just $79. You're saving $100. Tell them you know Hanny. Where the hell is you going to save $100 by throwing Hanny's name around? Not $179. It's just $79 at Total Maintenance. Give my buddy Lucas Ragusa and his great staff a call. And it's good for New Orleans and Baton Rouge. New Orleans and Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge office 480-1000. 480-1000 in NOLA. It's 504-841-3300. We are Total Maintenance.
Live at the Walk-Ons in Bruley, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at the Bruley Walk-Ons live at lunch. There was one game tonight I wanted to ask you about, Jimmy. That's Baylor and Arizona. Arizona went to Kansas State, lost a tough one, came back home, lost a tough one. They go to Baylor tonight, and Baylor's a 1.5-point favorite. As you know, they've only lost one home game all season. So
Baylor?
Baylor.
Baylor's comfortably in right now. Well, Arizona, too. Baylor's, Jerry Palm's got an 8 seed, Arizona 4 seed.
Yeah, and Baylor's still a top 30 net, so that's about right. We spent a little bit of time talking about these really tough road trips that you go on. Now, this is a road home. By the way, TCU on Saturday, which is one of the releases we had on Friday.
Right.
They were catching that bad travel, tough games, come home, and TCU ended up winning the game outright.
But Arizona State played the two, and they were favored at home. Yeah.
I'm just wondering how Arizona's going to react to two tough losses, one on the road, one at home. Houston, physical, they make you play. I don't know. Baylor look like they're worth a look tonight.
I think it'd be very tight. I'm not crazy about this Baylor team. They don't defend very well.
They're not as good as
they don't defend
some of Drew's other teams. No, I'm not talking about the national championship team. Just
some of the other teams. Yeah,
but they are 11-1 at home. Maybe worth a look. Minus a 1.5 tonight. Just a thought. You don't have a ton of choices.
I don't like the game.
You don't like the game. I'm going to take Baylor minus the 1.5. Hour number 2 straight ahead. We'll take a look at LSU's wins over the weekend in baseball. This is live at lunch from Walk-Ons in Bruley, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Here at Walk-Ons in Bruley, enjoying the fantastic weather out here, out in the front area. With the doors are down, but
got a little crack in the door though.
Yeah,
get a little pressure. It's nice. I'll take it. I don't like that all that buggy stuff, Charlie. We had that Saturday.
Yeah,
that was weird. It was freezing Friday, and it was
83
degrees.
Yeah.
It was 83
on Saturday. Yeah,
been kind of
our weatherman Max.
60s, 80s, 60s again.
Our golf man, Max. Consensus Picks, brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown. Kaboom.
Ludwig.
Wes, I mean, when's this guy going to win? Huh? I know he won a little drinky-dink tournament. When's he going to win? It's just a matter of time, Jimmy. Consensus pick, pop.
You never thought Scheffler was a factor yesterday?
He was even money.
I know. He was the favorite.
He was a live favorite.
Even money favorite.
Look, the one thing I'll say.
I invested, Jimmy. I know.
I
didn't cash, but I invested.
I took him Friday at plus 250
or
260, something like that, because he didn't hit a fairway and he still shot great. He missed 13 to 18 fairways.
He was 10 shots better on Sunday than he was on Saturday. He was
no, but on
Saturday.
Friday he missed all. He was scrambling the whole time and still shot very good.
Right.
And he was the favorite. Like plus 125 or plus 140 after Friday, and then he was awful on Saturday.
Look, he finished top 5, so I don't want to minimize him. He is dealing with some swing things right now. He, at his peak, is so great, and any golfer who's playing at his peak does this, takes one side of the golf course out of play. They are not hitting it left or they're not hitting it right. Right when he was at his best, he hits his little cut off the tee. He knows it's not going left. If anything, it's only going to miss to the right. Right now, since he's come back from his hand surgery, he's dealing with a bit of a left miss. He's drawing it when he's expecting to cut. We saw that a little bit down the stretch. It's minute. He's still finished top 5. He's still playing excellent golf, but he is dealing with something where he's got a bit of a left miss going, and it is challenging him a little bit. So it does give an opportunity for the Obergs to break through.
When's the last time he hit a round like that on Saturday?
I would think.
Was he 3 or 4 over?
He was 4 over. It was.
He hadn't had
maybe
a plus.
I would
plus,
say
a plus stroke.
Round the day after he got arrested. He was kind of out of it.
No, he did fine that day. It was the next day.
The next day.
The next day. Yes. So the next. Okay,
that sort of reminded me of where he's just kind of all out of sorts.
Now, you didn't like the Torrey Pines. You weren't crazy about Torrey Pines. Well, they had to move it. That's one thing, but. I thought Torrey Pines was great because, man, you saw some wild moves because there were guys making bogeys, but there were birdies and bogeys and there was a lot of movement, Max. Cantlay, what 4 or 5 straight birdies, and then, it was. What did McNeely shoot yesterday? My goodness, like 8 under.
8 under. He was 8 under.
He had a lot of movement, what I think is good.
No doubt. And that's what scoring does. When the winning score is around 10 to 12 under par, there's birdies and there's bogeys. So that's great for movement. In general, though, Torrey Pines, every hole's the same. They're all straightforward, thick rough, thin fairways.
It's the topography where it's one of the most beautiful settings.
Yes.
Where you're up on a cliff and there's the ocean and it's built like on this cliff.
It's just hard to tell which hole is which because they're all kind of the same. That's the criticism of Torrey Pines, but it does produce great finishes, really good winners over time. Unfortunately, the Farmers Insurance, which is the regular event at Torrey Pines, it's kind of been watered down. Not a great field as much anymore. We saw that this year, 3 weeks ago, where not a great field playing in that one. But this time, all the big boys were playing because it was an elevated event, and we saw a great finish.
The Buick now Farmers is not elevated.
It is not. No,
okay.
It is not.
Will they rotate that any?
They have, but they tend to kind of stick with the same courses. They've done it a little bit, but like Pebble Beach has been added.
Well, you get the U.S. Open how often?
They get it probably once every 8 years or so.
Okay.
8 to
when
10
Rahm
years.
won, it was about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, he was one who always aced this tournament. He was like the go-to at Torrey Pines.
Well, you know what they have in late July when it always there is they have the World's Juniors at Torrey Pines, and so there's some history there. And so you had of course, some of the local players. And Tiger would come down, and Mickelson is from right there. Stadler's from close. You got a lot of history there with some of the junior worlds that are there. Also.
They also have the APGA event, which is like the minority event at Torrey Pines the day after the Farmers. So that's a big deal for them as well. So Torrey does a lot of different tournaments, it seems. But Oberg, watch out for this guy. We've been waiting on it.
Max, no kidding.
Jimmy,
come on.
You touted him after that Masters runner-up finish in his debut.
This guy,
last year.
even I could say that's a beautiful swing, man.
But the question was, he had not won a big event up until this point.
So what did he do? Everybody's like kind of giving him he's like minus $4, like giving him a birdie on 18. Well, he still had to hit the driver. And he smashed it.
Yeah,
I mean,
right down the middle.
That
is the strength of his game, and that's why it makes sense that he plays well here.
He didn't hesitate. I mean, some of the slow play, he's not sitting over it, stressing.
Very fast
I thought
player.
he closed with a lot of confidence.
Very fast player, and again,
You didn't?
Sunday. No, he is a very fast player.
No, but I'm saying you didn't. The way he closed.
No doubt.
Okay.
But, Jimmy, the question was he's had some bad Sundays where
Yes.
in big events. Pinehurst last year, he was off the TV coverage by the 6th hole because he evaporated so quickly. But it was just so counter to what we see visually where he's so composed. He doesn't show emotion. He doesn't let it get to him, at least outwardly. And so it didn't really match up. It seemed like he would be great for closing out tournaments. And we saw that on Sunday. But it just hadn't matched up with the results in the big events until yesterday.
Yeah, because it wasn't like McNeely lost it or blew it. Now,
No.
I think what's the guy that's the best putter? He kind of
Denny McCarthy.
He kind of fell apart a little bit.
You're kind of expecting him and Rogers to fall back to the field.
Well, they were waiting for. They had to wait for a while.
They did wait. No,
I
it
mean,
did take
it
a while.
didn't happen initially.
It finally did happen.
Finally did.
With such an elevated event, you kind of expect those guys to fall apart.
I understand
on
it, but it didn't happen. They hung in there for a good while.
They were favored at one point.
But McNeely can't do any. He can't do any more. The weird thing is McNeely, because he was behind Oberg, he was finished 3-4 holes ahead, and so sitting in the clubhouse. But Oberg, 4 birdies in the back 9.
Yes, I think so, because he was a little bit stuck in neutral on the front 9.
2 birdies, 2 bogeys. So, man, I mean.
He birdied 9 right before, so that got him to 1 under, I believe, at the turn. But then,
You mean 1 back?
Well, no,
1
he was
under
quite
for
a
the
bit
day.
back,
1
but
under for the day.
At the turn,
Okay.
and then he had 3 straight at one point. So I believe he might have had 5
birdied
birdies.
18.
I believe he had 5 birdies on the back 9. Just thinking about it, but yeah, watch again. It's not like I'm saying something that's game changing. He had 4 birdies in the back, but watch out for this guy. He's got all of the pedigree, and now that he's finally broken through at a big event, he'll have that confidence to close
just
out.
Don't go to live like my favorite Chilean golfer. I now have my favorite Scandinavian golfer, Charlie.
Jimmy, he won in live this week. Joaquin Neiman. He's playing well. Live Adelaide. It was on Fox. It was on Fox. They got a TV
it was on
broadcast.
on FS2, huh?
It was on Fox on the final round on an hour delay. They can't get things right. Come on, hour delay? You got a big TV deal and you're running an hour behind. What's the point?
Live Golf's on TV?
It is. They got a Fox deal.
No, it was on his sports book down at Beau Rivage, a little bit more trouble because it's an FS2.
Yeah.
So some of those places like this, it's going to be you got more presence than they had before. I mean, you had to go and get your laptop and find it.
I watched a little bit. It was a little late night viewing for me, but it just still doesn't quite have the juice.
No, it's not going to. It's not going to. So who's the favorite? Scheffler's still going to be favorite. We won the last 2 Masters. Oberg is Rory 2 and Oberg 3.
Yeah, Rory's playing well right now.
Yeah,
he
he
putted
is.
terribly this week, but otherwise he's playing really good. So I'd expect kind of that order. Oberg's the 3rd best player in the world right now. Maybe you consider Schauffele and Morikawa maybe in that mix, but the problem with Schauffele is he's hurt right now. It's kind of one of the underrated stories in golf right now. He is dealing with an injury and not playing.
He has disappeared, huh?
Right. I mean, he hasn't played. He's dealing with a rib injury of sorts. There's an expectation that he'll come back in the near future, but yeah, it's tough timing for a guy who won 2 majors last year.
Schauffele, no. Oberg is 5th choice. Rahm and Schauffele are still ahead of
Okay,
it.
Rahm, yeah.
Yeah, they're still
kind of
ahead.
Forget about him. That's kind of
well done, Max. Well done. Well done.
Shout out Jeff Seeley as well. A little 27-1. Depends where you got him, but nice little pre-tournament winner for
no
Oberg.
doubt. I talked about that. I was at Los Reyes yesterday on the way home from the Queen. Actually, Saturday. And I love going to check it out, man. We were watching the hockey. We were watching some basketball, doing good stuff. Miss Blair behind the bar. We're very, very crowded. Had a private party. That's what you can do as well, man. The private parties are available. They got a big old patio, especially this time of the year. You can rent out the patio and take care of it. You can do. They had for their party this one Saturday. Did sort of like a fajita and taco buffet. and had the margarita machine going. So really good stuff over at Los Reyes. Lunch menus available also. Get different salads, enchiladas, tamales, burritos, or tacos. And, I always start off with a fresh guacamole. It's really, really good. And I did some fresh jalapenos as well. So they do I had the fajitas did the little chicken and beef fajitas. Don't forget their happy hour every day, 2:30 to 6:30, 7 days a week. Specials on all house, top shelf, frozen, and on the rocks margaritas and other things behind the bar as well. Los Reyes Mexican Grill on Lee, just off of Nicholson, across from Mike Anderson's.
Live at the Walk-Ons in Bruley, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
With Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And today's show also brought to you by Coastal Capital Advisors, your full-service financial planners. When it comes to retirement, no two situations are alike, so Coastal Capital Advisors will work with you, as well as your business partners, your legal team, and tax professionals. Make sure that they get a goal that will work for you. They've done a great job for me over the years. They can do the same thing for you. So for more information, contact Philip Fontenot and his staff, 337-981-1376, or online, coastalcapitaladv.com. Advisory services provided by New Age Advisors. Securities offered through New Age Securities, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. LSU gets off to a 3-0 start to the season against Purdue Fort Wayne. Let me just tell you before we get to anything, I don't expect to see Purdue Fort Wayne in a super regional anyway. So I understand that the level of competition was not great this weekend, but what you wanted to see was some individual performances and what some guys look like that we've been hearing about for a long time. The big takeaway is that the pitching staff looked very impressive from a velocity standpoint, from a command standpoint. 45 strikeouts and 2 walks over 3 games is good no matter who you're playing. So I was impressed with the amount of command that those guys had. Cade Anderson, went out on Friday. Certainly looks the part. We talked about him last year. He missed his entire senior season as a pitcher at St. Paul. So last year he was working his way back from the injury and had a good freshman season. But he's a future first-round pick. Was sitting about 93 from the left side. Had absolute terrific stuff all day on Friday. The real surprise on Friday was Kason Evans, who was not somebody that we spent a lot of time talking about. Evans came out of the bullpen throwing 98 miles an hour, and he's not the biggest guy on the roster, not like some of the 6'8", 6'9" giants that they've got out there. Evans, as well as Cooper Williams, who wasn't a guy he struck out the side in the ninth, both came in. LSU had 9 pitchers that hit 95 or better this weekend, so the velocity is there even for early season games, and the command was there. Derek Curiel, you'll get to know this name really well. We talked about him a ton in the preseason. Curiel was the number 2 player in California. He was a top 10 high school player a year ago, and most of the time he's a guy you expect to be in minor league baseball this time. There's some similarities to Dylan Cruz. He had a similar ranking. Over the weekend, Curiel looked the part. He ended up with 4 hits on the weekend. He drove in 3. He had a home run in the game on Sunday. He's just another in a long line of really highly rated guys, and I expect him to be right there in the middle of the lineup the entire time. The other newcomer that was really, really highly touted was Daniel Dickinson out of Utah Valley. He had a big weekend. He had 5 hits in the series. The homer was probably a little wind-aided on Saturday, but he was very, very good throughout the weekend. I think
TrackMan measured it like 10 feet short of the wall.
It was wind aided.
Yeah.
He got it up in the wind and just got it over the wall. I think it was 367. But he hit the ball sharply all weekend. So that was very, very good. They've got a logjam out in the outfield. They've got about 6, maybe 7 guys that can play. And Curiel's got to play every day in left. And Stanfield, the Auburn transfer, who had a really good weekend. He had on the weekend 4 hits and 10 at-bats, including a triple in the game on Saturday. So he had a diving catch in center field on Friday afternoon. Stanfield is going to be your center fielder 99% of the time, which means that out of Ashton Larson, who had a 3-for-4 game on Sunday, out of Jake Brown, who over the weekend had it was 3 for 8. Josh Pearson, who has only played 165 college games going into the weekend. Ethan Fry, who's one of the few right-handed bats out there. You got a lot of competition for those that last outfield spot plus the DH spot. So all of that looked pretty good. The second game, Anthony Ianson, who is a transfer from San Diego, I thought had a good outing. The fastball was a little flatter than I thought, and maybe it's just because we saw everybody else throw a 95, so his 92 maybe didn't stand out, but the slider is a really good pitch, and he didn't walk anybody. Struck out 6 in the game on Saturday. Probably the surprise was Connor Bench, who was not somebody we spent a lot of time talking about. Another arm came out of the bullpen throwing 95 miles an hour. I mean, they got an entire staff worth of just fireballers. But the guy that caught everybody's attention on Saturday was Maverick Rizzi, who we did spend a lot of time talking about. He's 6'9". He's 250-plus pounds. He's probably the biggest pitcher I've seen at LSU. He's a little bit taller than what Skeens and McDonald were, a little bit taller than Brian Tallett. And he comes out there and he's throwing a 97-mile-an-hour fastball on the black. And what I liked about him was he got really good movement. He struck out, I think it was the second guy he faced, with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Had some run and sink to it and just clipped the inside corner. It's a unbelievably difficult pitch to hit. And when you got a guy that's 6'9", the mechanics looked good. 6'9" guys, listen, I saw Brian Tallett pitch here. I saw Anthony Renato pitch here. These were taller guys. They were hurt their freshman year. It took some time to get that get the mechanics of it down. There's a lot of moving parts when you're 6'9". He looked fantastic to me. Jay Johnson talked him up after the game. He says he's somebody that they will probably pitch 3 or 4 times in the next 5 or 6 games. They want to see if they can bring him back on short. It's obvious that they would like him to close games. And if you're going to ramp him up that way, you just want to see if you can use him twice in a weekend later in the season. It's why, in my opinion, they didn't necessarily use Gavin Guidry or Connor Ware this weekend. I think they know what they got in Guidry, and they're going to probably stretch him out a little bit. But for Rizzi, they don't know yet. And he's a younger guy. They want to see if they can bring him back. And then on Sunday, the big story was with Chase Shores off of almost a 2-year layoff, 23 months off. I thought he looked fantastic. He threw 67 pitches. He didn't walk anybody. The velocity didn't drop all that much. I was waiting. There's 2 things I wanted to see. How many pitches he was going to throw. Could he throw somewhere between 60 and 75 pitches? Yes. Could the velocity hold up over that 2 years out? Yes. He came in throwing 98. He left throwing 95. I thought he had good movement on the breaking ball, so really happy that. And then, of course, William Schmidt, the Catholic High product. Was wondering if he was going to pitch this weekend or if they were going to start him in one of the midweek games. I understand it's going to be pretty chilly down in Thibodaux on Wednesday night, it's somewhere in the low 30s, maybe even, I don't know if that game's in jeopardy or not. So maybe a better chance to get him in here. He comes in throwing in the high 90s and throws nothing but strikes. So all of that was good this weekend. Again, I get it. Purdue-Fort Wayne's not any good. They probably in a 30-game SEC schedule might win 1 or 2, if that.
45 strikeouts. On the
but
weekend.
45 strikeouts, yeah, the plate's still 60 feet 6 inches away. You still got to throw strikes. It's easy in the opening weekend, your first outing, to get amped up and overthrow. They didn't do that. They threw a ton of strikes. They got a lot of guys at bats. Really good opening weekend for LSU. Max, you got a chance to watch some too?
Yeah, the Chase Shores faced a little bit of adversity. Is that fair to say, just right out of the gates?
The first hit was about a 5-hopper up the middle. That ball was not hit hard. The second ball was hit well. They went in the right field with it. That was a sharply hit ball. There was another ball that was hit pretty good, but I thought he settled in.
And scoring was a little bit harder, so they were trailing, through the 4th or 5th inning.
They stole the run on the rundown.
Right.
They hit the runner at third base and they get caught in the run down and they get the run home. So, yeah, it's going to get charged to him. But, again, he got on base with a ball he bounced up the middle. It wasn't like they were lacing the ball all over the place.
But it was just good that he settled in.
Yeah,
Could have
absolutely.
phased him and, first time out there, but, he very much settled in after that.
Psychologically, if you're out and he wanted to pitch at the end of last year, but they thought it was a little bit too much. So you go right at 23 months without throwing in a real game. That ain't nothing. And you go out there and your velocity's good. Your velocity doesn't drop. I didn't expect him to be as sharp as he was yesterday. He got knocked around a little bit in a couple of the scrimmages. I thought, well, you know what? If he throws 55, 60 pitches and he gets through 4 innings and strikes out 5 and walks 2, okay, he was a lot better than that.
And also we saw we knew this coming in, but we saw with the Friday roster. We're all excited for opening day lineup and stuff. The lefties and righties mixing in. That's certainly going to be a problem for opposing pitchers. Really throw off some teams, and it messes with your bullpen as well.
Yeah, they've got so many left-handed bats. Good problem to have.
I'd
rather have
what
that.
What quality matchups did they have this weekend?
In the quality matchups?
In college baseball, this is not one.
Oh, no.
I mean, when
Ole Miss and
did
Texas.
you know there was a Purdue-Fort Wayne?
I did, but only because I knew that there's also I got an education on this. A friend of mine used to live in Indianapolis. So Purdue, Fort Wayne, Indiana University, Uwe the one they call Uwe Pui. So yes, I was, and somebody backed out on them. I never did hear who.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they had to schedule this kind of at the last minute.
What's their best non-conference series?
Dallas Baptist.
Okay.
Dallas Baptist is a game. It's not a series.
Game.
They're playing them at Globe Life.
What's their best series?
The one up in Frisco. It's a week conference schedule.
Okay.
They play Kansas State,
three different teams.
Kansas State, Nebraska, and Sam Houston.
Okay.
It's a very weak non-conference schedule. There's no way around that. Dallas Baptist is the best team that they play in the one game up against Globe Life. You had Ole Miss was played Texas, was one of the better games.
They played Clemson as well on Sunday.
Yeah.
That was the Arlington series.
Right, the series up.
Who was all in that?
Up at Globe
Oklahoma
Life.
State and Texas. They played Sunday as well. Texas won.
Oklahoma State, Texas, Ole Miss,
Clemson.
Just 4 teams?
No, there were 6. I'm trying to remember who else was up there.
Arizona and Louisville as well.
Okay.
Arizona was ranked. They struggled in that tournament. I
The
think.
coach is still at Louisville?
Yes. Yeah,
the one that turned down Texas.
McDonald, yeah. He's not as strong in the last few years as he has been in some of the other ones, but still a real quality coach. Yeah, they're good. I think they're somewhere around 30 or so in the rankings, but that's what I saw over the weekend.
You sure about all that with the caliber of competition?
That. What LSU's playing?
Which you're. I mean, it's tricky when you're playing such. I mean, a program that's so much weaker than you.
Yeah,
I mean. All
right. So here's what I was.
This is your Alan Risher throwing against air type of stuff.
What I was watching with the pitching staff was, what kind of makeup do you have? What kind of stuff do you have? I mean, if you throw 97 miles an hour, you throw 97 miles an hour.
Yes.
Yeah. The command was very good. The hitters completely overmatched the Purdue Fort Wayne staff. No question there. But some of these guys are high pedigree guys. Larson was hitting at the end of last season. Brown was hitting at the end of last season. Curiel would start for anybody. He's going to be a first-round pick. I want to see more, but I liked what I saw.
It's the ultimate eye test, Jimmy. I mean, like you saw Purdue Fort Wayne. They really struggled. You could tell they haven't been practicing much outside, where early on the fly balls to the outfield were a problem. I mean, you can take that out of the stats, but you can visually see who's pitching well. I think the pitching is the real takeaway. Who's
that
throwing.
that many power arms. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of guys. 9 guys that threw 95 or better over the weekend.
I mean, when you say God, and I understand from the left side, but I mean, it's more of a rarity. But yeah, I mean
velocity's up everywhere.
I mean, yeah, they
just throw a lot harder than they used to.
They throw a lot. They're the high velocity throwing program, and got some people are critical of it too.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only throw. Your arm can only handle so much of that torque. So, but very, very common. The 95, 90 guys throwing 95. I mean, how many? In Tennessee will have that many. I mean, does Arkansas or Mississippi State have?
A&M.
A&M has a ton.
A&M is number one team in the country, and that staff is loaded.
Who did they play this week? Anybody of any substance?
Who in
the conference played besides Ole Miss?
Outside of that deal, there weren't a lot of big matchups. Most of it was.
I mentioned Texas. They're an SEC team now, Jimmy.
Yeah,
they were in that Arlington series.
Yeah, I heard you.
No, they weren't a ton of top matchups in week number one.
A&M had Elon.
Who's that?
A&M had Elon.
Elon, yeah. South Carolina, they won their first three. They played Sacred Heart, so a lot of easing in this weekend.
Don't forget, Max, you missed out on your king cake. And Town Square Pizza brought us some king cakes on Thursday. Charlie was raving about it.
It's really good.
Yes, indeed. And they delivered them to the Mardi Gras this past weekend, the ball at the River Center, Spanish Town. And, next week it'll be Artemis and Orion. And so when you call over at Town Square Pizza, just give the name and table number at the time of ordering, and king cakes will be waiting when your guests arrive at your Mardi Gras ball. Order before noon or the day before the event. Contact GM at townsquarepizza.net or 408-8088, 408-8088 for more details or to order. They're available on the Facebook page as well. Square king cakes from Town Square Pizza and chocolate chip, cinnamon, cream cheese, a combination of the two. They do a great job. Charlie raving about those king cakes that they brought us this Thursday. Town Square Pizza king cake for the carnival season.
Live at the Walk-Ons in Bruley, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
With Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Back here at Walk-Ons in Bruley. One of the cool things about this place is the seasonal brews. You got about 4 dozen beers on tap here, and they reserve a handful of those for your seasonal brews. So it'll be springtime before you know it, Jimmy.
It's close to spring, man. This weather's pretty damn good. I mean, it's not. It'll be a little bit nicer late March, early April, but still, this is. We'll take this any day. 25 getting later in the week. 20s.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Man.
You're gonna have to deal
Charlie,
with that.
Jerry Palm has 13 in right now from the. Still has Oklahoma's a 10 after that loss. What's their NET?
Their net is in the 52.
Ooh.
I lost LSU, cost them 8 spots. They were 44 last week.
And then they're 52, and you go give them a 10? Oh.
Where would you saw Villanova this weekend, right?
Villanova's better.
Okay, they're 53. So
Villanova's
right
playing better right now too. They gotten a little bit better.
Let me try a better team because this is not a power conference team. Memphis
plays to the level of their opponent. They're very, very good. I don't think they're a top 15 team, but this is the most skilled team that Penny has. I mean, a guy like Musa Cisse coming off the bench, and Tyrese Hunter came over there, and they're
49. Okay, which it seems low at 21-5.
They're ranked 15.
They are, and we got the new
that
coach.
big of a difference between. Let me see where they're. I would put them as about a 6.
After the loss yesterday, they dropped 4 spots. They're 19 now. We got the coaches poll. We don't have the AP poll yet.
They're 7. They're
okay.
7.
All right.
So for Jerry Palm.
Yeah,
and that's updated today because Lenardi has not updated his since Friday.
Okay. You were asking about the poll earlier. The coaches poll is out. The AP poll is not yet out. Auburn's unanimous number 1 now. Florida 2, Alabama drops to 4, Tennessee 6, A&M 7, and then you got to go all the way. Missouri is 16, Duke is 3, right behind Florida, and Houston's
still
5.
5 of the top 6, SEC.
4 of the top 6.
4 of the top 6.
Houston's in there at number 5, but
okay.
5 of the top 7 though.
5 of the top 7.
5 of the.
You see the releasing of their seeds, the top 16.
I did.
And they had 5 of the first 6 in that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wasn't terribly shocking. The top is going to stay. Auburn could stop playing right now and be a number 1 seed.
Oh, it's
and I think Florida or Alabama is going to get the other one. I still think it's going to be 2 number 1 seeds out of the SEC because I just don't think they want to give them 3. And you're splitting hairs between Alabama and Duke or Florida and Duke, Tennessee and Houston. I mean, it's close. I just think that they're going to end up with 2 number 1 seeds, probably 2 number 2 seeds, and a number 3 seed, maybe 2 number 3 seeds when this comes down to it. In the league,
the real story there is A&M. I mean, they're pulling out all these close games, man. And I mean, they were challenged again on Saturday against Arkansas, but ultimately win by 8. And I mean, they've won 5 in a row now. 2 on the road at Missouri was a big one. At South Carolina. It would be Georgia. I mean, they just.
Well, what's impressive about A&M is they haven't lost to anybody really bad. All of their losses are quad 1 losses. So even though they've lost 5 games, they've all been to. You look at UCF and you say, well, that's still a Q1 loss because it was a true road game. True road game. That's right on the cusp. It's right on the border.
UCF's a top 60 team.
75.
Top 75.
True road game. It's right there on the border. So,
okay.
But if that's your worst loss, you're in pretty good shape. And they've got they got 7 Q1 wins.
They won at Creighton. Won at Rutgers.
Yeah,
those are quad ones. At Texas Tech. That's a great win.
At Texas Tech, that was a neutral site game, and it's their best win.
Okay. At Purdue?
That's their second best win. That was also at a neutral site. Yeah.
Okay. And
then you got a pile of road games against
I mean, they've won 7 of 8, and the one they lost, they were winning by 21 against Texas.
Yeah, and wins that might not have looked as good at the time against Missouri. The win at Missouri, that's a really good win now.
That's a great win.
I mean, and we didn't expect that maybe at.
That's a great
at the beginning. Down at the bottom of this, Oklahoma, you're saying Palm still got them in, even though the net is down at 52?
Yes, 10. It surprised me. I would have them either my first 4 out or my last 4 in. I wouldn't have them as a 10.
You got Arkansas? He's got Arkansas in, obviously. He's got 13
He's got
in.
Arkansas as the last 4 in.
Vandy as well?
No, Vandy's safe.
Vandy's safe?
Vandy's safe.
41 net.
Vandy's a 10, like Oklahoma.
Okay. And
so you're ahead of the 11s, like you're ahead of our – where is the 11s?
Seems like
Drake.
Drake lost this weekend. That was their third
yesterday.
loss.
They lost to Bradley.
Okay.
They blew a late lead.
Like that coach.
He's got the 11. He's got the 11. A couple of 11s blank.
Okay.
Jimmy, I'll give you
Wake Forest was a big win.
Lenardi just tweeted his updated.
Oh, he just put about
lines. You've got Oklahoma and Arkansas in the last 4 in.
Yeah.
And Georgia in the first 4 out.
Okay, so that's where I'd have Oklahoma too. I'd have them with Lenardi. That's what I'm saying. And that's a damaging loss Saturday. I thought the biggest one though is, man, I thought Mississippi State falling behind 8 early and then just housing Ole Miss in Oxford. I mean, smashed them.
I missed that one.
Wow, no, I liked Ole Miss.
I did too. They had been playing pretty well. I mean, they had won 4 out of 5. I know a couple of those were against the bottom of the league, but they were on the road. I mean, they went on the road and beat LSU and South Carolina in consecutive games. I know it's the bottom of the league, but they're still road wins. It's not like you didn't get any credit for those. I don't know. I still think that you're going to end up probably closer to 11 than you are. I'd say 11 or 12. I think one of those teams will drop off the bottom.
Who knows? I mean, the thing is, you can only get dinged up by having quad 1 losses, but you got a chance. You only have to get You don't have to win even half of them. You win a third, and of course it matters if, are you going to – UC San Diego just keeps winning and by big. And, are you going to put Irvine in the loser of that one? Because both are right there.
So
right
Lenardi
there.
right now, he puts one team in. So UC San Diego would be in from the Big West. UC
He's got
Irvine,
about a 12?
Yes. UC Irvine would be next 4 out. So he's got them on the bubble, on the cusp.
Yeah, but see, whoever loses is going to have a bad loss if they lose to a tournament.
Unless they lose to each other. They've
Indiana
split
State last year.
Maybe they'll learn this time. Maybe Indiana State should have been in last year. Maybe they.
Max, if it comes down to UC San Diego or North Carolina, it's still a television show.
Yeah.
And they want viewers. And sorry, but Carolina brings more eyeballs, to the TV than UCSD. Fair, unfair. So they've got to – whoever loses is going to be close. And I think –
the one thing San Diego has over Irvine, they're actually 2-1 in Quad 1. So they've actually gotten a couple non-con, decent wins to their resume. So they can maybe survive a little bit better than Irvine.
2-1.
Lose. 2-1 in Quad 1.
In Quad 1s. And these SEC teams that are on the bubble like Oklahoma are going to end up with 15 or 16 Q1 games. I mean, I don't know how many they're going to win, but it's 5 or 6 times.
An SEC team will get the benefit of the doubt if it's close. I just think so. I mean,
plus the opportunity in the SEC tournament. Every game is a Q1 game.
Oh,
right?
no, yeah.
Anything you might pick up.
When are they going to start that thing?
Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday. It's all the way to Tuesday.
Everybody's invited.
I mean, but the ACC starts on Monday?
I don't know when the ACC starts.
Where they got more teams?
Yeah, the Big East usually starts on Monday because they finish on Saturday.
No, they don't start on Monday.
Didn't they start on Monday?
I don't think so.
I know they finish on Saturday. Or
They did. That's true. That's true.
I'm just those qualifying games that the last 4 teams in the league. I'll look it up during the break, but
they might be
the damnedest SEC tournament we've ever seen, huh?
Well, it's just.
I mean, most of the teams will be qualified for the tournament. I'm just saying, who's going to win the thing? Somebody got to win it.
I want to see how interested are. So how many get a bye till Friday?
No, everybody's got to play. You got 16 teams. You're not.
So it's straight.
Yeah, it's no double buys anymore.
Okay,
everybody. Like I said, everybody's
16
invited.
to 8. So you got to play.
I said they start on Wednesday.
You got to play 4. How interested are teams that are going to be a 1 seed regardless playing 4 straight games?
If I'm Auburn, I'd rather. I mean, you can't tell the players this, but in the back of my head, if I'm Bruce Pearl, I'm like, you know what? If we lose Friday, that's fine.
They're still doing double buys.
Is it still double? I thought
some teams
all
won't
16
play till Friday. All 16 will, but it'll be 9 versus 16, and the winner of that would play 8.
Oh, I thought they were making everybody play on day 1. I'm sorry.
How many you have? So they start on.
It starts on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But the double buys will be on Friday. Friday. So the other 12, the 4 teams get double buys.
4 teams. Yeah.
So you're playing
like a real 16-team bracket.
I thought they were making everybody play it on the first day.
So you're going to have some team and 4 with just a bye,
6
and then the other 8 play them.
Correct.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
To be fair, Jimmy, one thing I've been very critical of Doug Gottlieb. They finally got a win. First time since mid-November, 79-68 win
that's
over
a
Wright
backhanded
State.
compliment.
4-24. Congrats, Doug Gottlieb.
Think he's a little overextended.
I saw him at Radio Row. He did his radio show in New Orleans.
It's the middle of the basketball season.
Exactly.
He was at Radio Row.
That is embarrassing, man.
Yep.
You can't.
That's a fireable offense.
That's when it really drove me home. I was like,
he's
this
got
guy,
one and done. You can't do that. I mean, I
couldn't believe it. I was like, ridiculous. Why is he here?
I mean, you can't have one person go and watch your games when you pull crap like that.
No.
When you allow that as an athletic department. Now, you get what you get. I mean, that is
the athletic director ought to be ashamed of himself.
Absolutely. Don't forget our friends at Total Diamond Performance and their new facility. At Burbank and Gardere. And yes, indeed, Total Diamond Performance. Baseball skills camps. Best way is to get Nick at tdpbaseball.com. Nick at tdpbaseball.com. Hey, tournament ball this past weekend over at Traction. So right next to the Total Diamond Performance facility. So it's right there. But tournament ball is underway for the 2025 season. And get caught up if you fell behind, or just get that extra edge if you're looking for the individual lessons, group lessons, team lessons, help you with coaching strategy and structure as well. Nick at tdpbaseball.com. Total Diamond Performance.
Live at the Walk-Ons in Bruley, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Walk-Ons in Bruley on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Max, they playing golf here for President's Day inside?
A TGL triple header, Charlie. Come on.
Is this live?
It is live. A little 12 o'clock. It's the Atlanta Drive against the LA Golf Club, as everyone knows.
Nobody ever misses that. Were these guys – well, there's Cantlay. He played yesterday, I know. Where's – this is in Florida, right?
This is all the way in, Jupiter area.
So Cantlay, who was in, the third to last group yesterday, second to third to last group, jets across the country and manages to make it here for the golf simulator. They must be really paying these guys well.
They must be. They kind of have to, though. For what it's worth, they don't – most of these guys, I think all these guys will not be playing this week coming up in Mexico. So they basically just flew home where most of these guys live and are playing. It's a quick turnaround.
Because the Florida swing starts week after –
It does,
week
but
after next, right?
these guys live around there, so –
Oh, the state income taxes or
right
lack thereof.
Yeah, they all live
it's
around
a nice place
Jupiter.
to live. I always wanted to live at Isleworth,
But,
it seems like a nice place to live, right? Tiger and Shaq and all that. It's a nice community,
We'll
man.
say Ludwig Oberg will be playing twice today, up at 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock. So right off a win, he's playing two.
That's a little much, huh?
It is. We saw Rory do this the day after as well. After he won, he had to play a TGL match the next day. So
what do you think the HOA is at Isleworth?
I don't want to think about it.
Ask Antonio Brown.
He was fined for violations of the HOA over there.
Threw his bicycle at the security guard or something.
You can't do that.
You
can't threaten people.
You see Antonio Brown riding a bike through the neighborhood with no shirt on or something.
I did see him throw the bike. I remember that. That's probably a violation of the HOAs. I'm just guessing. Thanks, our friends here at Walk-Ons, for being our host today. Again, terrific place to watch a game, get a beer. Over 4 dozen beers on tap here, including your seasonal brews. Come on by Walk-Ons in Bruley and check it out. Tomorrow we are at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street at Mid-City. Hope that you can make it in your plans to join us there. For Max, for Jimmy, Jordan back in the studio. I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch.
The Thibodaux store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodaux. As we get closer towards spring, maybe some of those home improvement projects are on your to-do list. Let the experts at the Thibodaux store help you out, because what they can do is so much better than a YouTube video, is walk you through these projects that you can do yourself and save a lot of money. If you don't know how, they will instruct you. So you won't be wasting time. You won't be wasting money. Carpentry supplies, hardware supplies, plumbing supplies, electrical supplies, hand tools, power tools, and so much more, including large supply of jambalaya pots, crawfish pots, grills, big green egg cookers, all of those available at the Thibodaux store. If you're looking to have lumber delivered, their sister property at the Pierre Part store just recently celebrated their 113th year anniversary. You can have your lumber delivered from there. Also available for delivery, lots of things that are on the website. Check them out at thibodauxstore.com.